Here's a fun experiment. Walk in your next executive briefing and tell the CFO you've got a CVS 9.8 on the Acme portal with an active RCE vector, and then watch the CFO's face. The blank stare isn't disrespect, it's a language barrier. And that language barrier is costing your organization real money, real protection, and real trust. So today we're going to fix it. Not with a buzzword glossary, not with a hotline to legal, with a simple, repeatable translation exercise that turns security speak into business speak. So let's get into it. Cyber risk is a myth, not because the threats aren't real, but because the label itself creates a separate bucket that doesn't belong in a separate bucket. When you call something a cyber risk, you're telling every business leader in the room that they can just hand it off to the tech folks and move on. And you're telling every security professional that they own something that the business doesn't need to understand. Here's what that looks like in practice. Imagine a company like Precision Components. They're a mid-sized manufacturer in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with $8.5 million in revenue and 42 employees. They make precision machine parts for aerospace and automotive clients, and they just got their ISO 9001 certification. Their whole business depends on trusted relationships with supply chain partners and tight delivery windows. So now imagine their security lead walks into the leadership meeting and says, hey, we need to implement a web application firewall to address OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities. The CEO hears firewall and thinks it's an IT problem. The CFO hears implement and thinks, well, that's going to cost money. The CEO hears OWASP and thinks, I don't have time for this. Nobody's being lazy. Nobody's being dismissive. The language itself buried the business impact. And that's the real cost. Not the misunderstanding, but the inaction that follows it. Risks get deprioritized, budgets get trimmed, patch cycles get pushed, then something breaks, and suddenly everyone wants to know why nobody flagged it as important. Well, they did flag it. They just flagged it in a language the business doesn't speak. So the core idea from the book's pretty simple. Cybersecurity risks are business risks with technical components, not a separate category, they're not a specialty domain. Business risks that just happen to manifest through technology. And that reframing changes everything about how you communicate. If a ransomware attack stops production at a manufacturing plant, that's not a cyber incident. It's a business interruption. If customer data leaks through a web application flaw, that's not a vulnerability disclosure. That's a breach of trust with contractual and regulatory consequences. The translation isn't about dumbing things down either. It's about adding a layer that makes the information actionable for the people who control your budget, your priorities, and your strategy. You keep the technical precision, just attach it to the business reality. So the exercise we're walking through today is called Decoding Security-Speak. It's a structured practice tool. You take a technical statement, you identify the jargon, you swap in the business context, and wherever you can, you attach a dollar figure or a concrete consequence. That's it. That's a whole method. But like most simple methods, the power here is in the repetition and in the specificity. And if you want more about why this matters, go check out Cyber Risk is a Myth, but you've honestly got everything you need right here. So let's get working through our exercise. We've got 3 statements to translate, and we're going to have a bonus round. We're going to ground each one in the Precision Components scenario so you can see exactly how this works with a real business context. So our first statement, we already talked about this one. The original reads, we need to implement a web application firewall to address OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities. All right, so where's the jargon? Web application firewall, that's jargon. And also OWASP top 10. Those are terms that mean something to you and mean nothing to your CFO. What's the business reality? Well, Precision Components runs an order entry portal and a customer portal. Aerospace and automotive clients upload part specifications and pricing through the portal. An OWASP top 10 vulnerability means there's a class of well-known web flaws that could let someone unauthorized into those systems. The business impact would be exposed client data, lost supply contracts, potential damage to your ISO 9001 certification that took a lot of effort to earn. So we're going to translate that now. I'm going to put this in here. We need to implement additional web protection for our order entry and customer portal to prevent unauthorized access to client part specifications and pricing data, which could result in loss of aerospace and automotive supply contracts valued at over $1 million annually and potential damage to our ISO 9001 certification standing. Notice what's happened there? Web application firewall became additional web protection. That's honest. It's not less precise from a business perspective. OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, that became the actual risk, which is unauthorized access to client part specifications and pricing. And then we attach the consequence, right? Contracts at over $1 million annually, and also maybe your ISO 9001 cert. Now your CFO is listening. Let's talk about our second. Our environment contains several systems with RCE vulnerabilities requiring immediate patching. RCE, that's remote code execution. To a security person, that's a big one. An attacker can run whatever they want on your system. To a business person, that's alphabet soup. What's that mean for precision components? Well, they're production scheduling and inventory systems are the targets. If those go down, the CNC machines stop. If the CNC machines stop, shipments are late. If the shipments are late, customers who chose precision components for fast turnaround start looking elsewhere. And then contract penalties kick in. Repeat business starts to dry up. That $8.5 million in annual revenue, it starts shrinking. That's not good. So we're going to say, several production scheduling and inventory systems have vulnerabilities that could allow attackers to take control of them, potentially halting CNC machine operations and delaying shipments to customers who depend on our fast turnaround, risking contract penalties and loss of repeat business that represents the bulk of our $8.5 million annual revenue. Well, that's the same pattern, right? Technical term becomes plain description. Business consequences get attached. A revenue number anchors it. You didn't lose any accuracy, but you did gain an audience. So let's look at our third statement here. It says, the latest threat intelligence indicates increased APT activity targeting our sector. APT, that's Advanced Persistent Threat. Usually it's state-sponsored and patient and well-funded. To a security person, this signals a specific class of adversary with specific tactics. To a business person, sounds like a military briefing that just doesn't apply to them, right? But it does apply. Precision components, they're in the Dallas-Fort Worth manufacturing corridor. They serve automotive and aerospace. These are exactly the sectors that nation-state actors target for intellectual property theft. Your proprietary machining programs, your client designs, the competitive advantage that lets a small manufacturer punch above its weight. That's what's on the line here, right? So let's figure out how to capture that insight. Sophisticated, state-affiliated attackers are increasingly targeted mid-sized manufacturers in the Dallas-Fort Worth region and automotive and aerospace supply chains specifically, requiring enhanced detection capabilities to protect our proprietary machining programs, client designs, and intellectual property that differentiates us from competitors as we pursue export opportunities. Well, now your COO understands why this matters. It's not abstract threat intelligence. It's a specific group targeting a specific geography and a specific supply chain. And the assets at risk, those aren't servers. They're the IP that keeps the company competitive, right? So let's do one that's not in the original exercise. This is where your skill really starts to pay off because you'll need to do this on your own with your own organization's risks. So I'm going to just put this one here now. Our CNC machines controllers are running on an unsupported operating system version. Let's say you've got 5 of them. Unsupported OS. That means no more security patches, ever. Whatever hole exists tomorrow stays open forever. From a business angle, one infection could take down all 5 machines simultaneously. Your 10,000 square foot production floor, that goes quiet. 42 people are going to stand around and your revenue probably stops. How much? When you do a rough estimate based on your daily revenue, it's about $23,000 a day. So how are we going to reframe that for others? We're going to say the software controlling 5 of our CNC machines can no longer receive security updates from the vendor, creating a risk that a single malware infection could disable our entire 10,000 square foot production floor, idling 42 employees and costing roughly $23,000 per day in lost revenue until systems are restored. That's different, isn't it? It's the same fact. It's a different frame. The technical version would get filed under IT maintenance backlog. The business version, it gets escalated to how fast can we fix this and what's the plan if we don't? What you've got now here, You got a completed exercise with 4 translations, 3 from the template and 1 we just built ourselves. Each one follows the same structure, though. Identify the jargon, replace with plain language tied to your specific business. Attaches a concrete consequence, ideally with a number attached. Now, the finished document in here, this isn't a worksheet, this is a proof of concept. It shows the translation works. It shows the same information framed differently becomes actionable for a completely different audience. And it shows this isn't a talent, this is a practice. Anybody can do it. Everyone actually on your security team should do it before every executive interaction. So stop speaking in security scores and start speaking in business consequences. That's your fix.